Hey guys, this is Luke here bringing you another Biased Gamer video. Today I'm going to be showing you the Japanese heavy tank line in World of Tanks. Yeah, that's right, they added a whole new heavy tank line, at least in the test server. There's no guarantee that they're going to make it through or even that they're going to make it through as they are. Um, but without further ado, let's get started. So they've added a total of, what, 8 new heavy tanks starting at tier 3. Now, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure that the Type 91 here is the first tier 3 heavy tank. Could be wrong. More likely than not, there's been some before, but this is the only one that I can think of. So yeah, as far, it's tier 3, so its armor seems kind of terrible. I'm pretty sure there are even tier 1 guns that can penetrate this tank. Though it does in the picture seem to have some sharp angles. But we're not going to focus on this one too much, nor are we going to really focus on the tier 4 one. I mean, these are just gun carriages, guys. They're they seem more like placeholders than anything. I mean, I doubt this tank's going to have anything. Type 95, for example, a tier 4 heavy tank's going to have anything on the B1. But yeah, there they are. Now we start getting to the interesting stuff. We have the tier 5 OI experimental. I've actually heard of the OI before, or well, maybe that's the O1. I think it's OI. Just from a game called Ruse, if anyone's ever played that before. This one actually seems like it might actually be pretty fun. So at 75 front, 70 sides, it's comparable to the KV1, and the gun too is also comparable. It has a little bit less damage, but it shoots faster. So, um, I mean, what more could you want? Now, things to take into account for this tank. This is a tier 5 tank, guys, and it weighs 100 tons. That's unbelievable. This is tier 5. To put that into perspective, okay, we're going to take a look at the German tier 10 heavy tank, the E100. Fully kitted, that weighs 131 tons. This is a tier 5 tank, guys. With a 1200 horsepower engine. Unbelievable. So, as the same 1200, well, as the same amount of horsepower as the E100. So if you've driven the E100 before, imagine this tank, but with a little bit more shift to it. It's going to have a higher horsepower to ton ratio just because it's 30 tons less, and its top speed's at 40. So I wouldn't be surprised if this tank really does get into the 40s. Between 35 and 40, I'd say. Now, I can't show you guys gameplay of this tank. Why? Because the queues are too long. But we will have some gameplay coming up for the higher tier tanks. So yeah, the tier 5, the OI experimental, it actually looks like it could be a decent tank. Now, something to keep into account though is these things. Because I can't play the tank, I can't confirm or deny, but if those are weak spots, this tank will probably suck. It might not suck, but it'll make it a lot harder. I mean, what's the point of all this armor if there's giant glaring weak spots? Also, the turret, while it may be 75 millimeters thick, it's only at a very slight angle, and if you try to angle it yourself, you're going to flatten something else out, just the way it's built. So, something to keep in mind. Overall, it's going to be a pretty well-armored tank. You're going to ram the crap out of people, or destroy them if they try to ram you. And it's got a decent gun. So, we'll see how it plays when it comes out on the live server. Now we have the OI, stepping it up to 150 tons. Yeah, it's just a bigger OI experimental, except that its gun is essentially the same as the Tier 6 Russian heavy tank, the KV-2. Let me go take a look at it real quick. It's essentially an artillery gun. Yeah, this thing. So, if you're used to playing the KV-2 and you want essentially the same play style, look no further than the OI, because now you have essentially the same tank. More pen, better accurate, better at .58, uh, slightly slower rate of fire. This is more novelty than anything. Like I said for the last tank, guys, these turret tumors. Uh, I mean, the armor. This is a tier 6 tank, guys. 150 millimeters of armor. That's fantastic at its tier. Um, that with the sharp angling, I mean, you're gonna struggle to find a tank, even maybe in tier 7s that'll. I shouldn't say tier 7s. You're gonna struggle to find a tank in tier 6 that'll penetrate this, except if these are weak spots. Now, Tank Inspector doesn't have them updated yet, so I don't know if these are weak spots or not. But if they are, that's something to definitely consider, and I recommend you guys. I'll do an update video when these tanks get released, just to go over the strong and weak spots. One more thing I should point out before going any further. We'll just go back to the OI real quick. Some of you might have noticed this, but these tanks are massive. These are ginormous tanks. If we go back to the tech tree. Alright, so, well, hold on, we don't need to do that. So there it is right there. Here's the E100. The E100 is overall smaller than the tier 5 Japanese heavy tank. The tier 5 Japanese heavy tank is larger than the E100. Is that not? That just blows my mind. We'll just jump to the type. Boom. This tank is even bigger. This has to be one of the largest tank trees in the entire game. If not, then it is. But yeah, back onto the grind. You've all probably seen. I mean, wow, the premium, the tier 6 Tiger for the Japanese. It just, wow, it's dwarfed in comparison to the OI. But yeah, onward. So the Oni, things only get better. The armor went up another 25 millimeters and 50 respectively. But again, guys, these turret tumors. One thing that's interesting about these tanks. Now, I wasn't able to play lower than tier 9, but the tier 9 and 10 tanks, they had actually pretty good gun depression. So perhaps the fact that they have such a height profile and the fact that their gun depression, at least at tier 9 and 10, was pretty decent, will help a lot. Like, maybe you'll be able to go over hills, or maybe you'll be able to peek over things that otherwise a normal tank couldn't do. So that's something to consider. The Oni, a lot of armor, same 1200 horsepower engine, 100 tons, 1500 hit points. We look at the gun. It's a tier 7 heavy tank. I mean, just we'll compare this to the IS. So there you have it. Yeah, a little bit less alpha, well, considerably less than 60 less, but its accuracy is better, aim time is better, rate of fire is better, and better penetration. That extra 15 there can make a lot of difference, honestly. So yeah, it's a pretty decent gun. If you're used to playing the IS, imagine just a slower IS with a slightly better gun. but with a heck of a lot more armor. Like, my goodness. Tier 7, 175. You just angle it a little bit, I'd imagine, and it's gonna bounce. But, you know, on from that. So, the Oho. I wasn't able to play this tank, but just looking at, I mean, it's got 200, 200, but now you're at the tier where tanks really start to hurt. And again, with all these tanks, these turrets, these little tumors here, it's something to consider. So I don't know for sure if they're weak spots or not. They might not be. They might be misleading. But if they are, that really takes away from the armor of these tanks. It's going to make them not very fun. Even at tier 8, this tank with 200 millimeters of hull and turret armor, I mean, just look at 200 all-around armor. Now, we don't know what the hitboxes are like yet, but theoretically, you could angle it like this and probably get almost 250, close to 300 millimeters of effective armor. We don't know if that's a weak spot or if that's a weak spot, but assuming it isn't, this tank is going to be one beast of a heavily armored tank, albeit a slow tank. These are all slow tanks with the exception of maybe the OI experimental, but that's only because it has a 40 top speed and only 100 tons compared to the tier 8 here with 121 tons. This is going to be more comparable to the E100, honestly. Just a lot bigger and possibly with much, much worse weak spots. Moving on to the tanks I've actually played, though. This tank. Now, I like this tank a lot. The Type 4 Heavy. 250 250 millimeters of armor at this slope. This isn't a weak spot, guys, to my knowledge. I did get shot through there with a bat chat shot me through there. This is too, but it's tougher than you think. If you're playing on the go and you're brawling with a tank, this is your main weak spot. This is a small hitbox. I don't know yet if this is a hitbox. But overall, this tank, now it says 22 traverse speed. I feel it in the turret with 18 traverse speed. But honestly, this tank feels like it can shift around pretty easy. 2,000 hit points. That's more than the E75 by like 100, I think. If you're brawling with a tank, my recommendation is to shift around as much as you can. It's a long reload, guys. This gun, it's a tier 10. That's weird. It is a tier 10 gun with 249 pen, more than the E75, more than the E100, 600 alpha. It's 100 less than the E100, but let me tell you, it still stings to get hit by this. But with that, this is a slugging tank. You push this tank up right in their face and just slam them and then back off to wait for the long reload. This is a 17-second reload, guys. Now, what that does for you, though, the high alpha lets you finish off tanks a lot easier. So, obviously, if there's a tank with 600 health left, if you had a lesser gun like the E75, you might have to shoot them twice. With this tank, you're almost guaranteed to get the one-shot kill on them. And with the long reload, you can afford, while you're brawling, to lift the gun barrel up to block the cupola here. So it essentially takes away shots. All your weak spots, aside from this one, is covered. Now with this sloped, this tank is also a pretty good corner pushing tank thanks to the sloped armor here. So what you do is you come around a corner it's like right here. Try and make sure they can't shoot the hard angle through your tracks, even though I don't think they can anyway. And with that, they're not going to pen you if all they can see is this. What are they going to penetrate? Or even better from here, because then your cupola is protected. I had a lot of fun with this tank, guys. Even in the test server, was with as much gold that was getting flung around, the armor was just impressive. Um, Without angling, this armor will block most guns. Um, it just will. So, and with a little bit of angling, you'll bounce even gold, even like 300 pen gold rounds. So we'll see how it plays out on the pub server. But if it's anything like what I think it's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to play fairly similarly to the VK4502B, in that there is no real weak spot except for a little turret hole here that's really hard to hit, and this. Uh, we'll have to wait for Tank Inspector to get updated. Like I said earlier, guys, I'm going to do a full overview of their armor to just to confirm and see really if all these cupolars are weak spots or not. So yeah, on to the tier 10 tank, the final heavy tank in this lineup. I didn't have as much fun with this. So the reason why, guys, is you're going up a tier, but you're only getting 10 more millimeters of armor, and in return, you are getting shot at by much higher penetrating tanks. You're getting a better version of the gun you just had. It shoots, what, 20% faster, and its accuracy and aim time are better. But overall, you're going up a tier and getting shot at things like a Jagdpanzer E100 more frequently, which, you know, sure, you might be able to pull off some bounces, but it won't be reliable. Really, I think the sweet spot in this line is the Type 4 Heavy. Of course, you all might disagree with me. That's fine. Just for the equipment, obviously, I recommend vertical stabilizers, a large caliber gun drive, and either an improved ventilation or an enhanced gun laying drive for basically all of these tanks. You can make arguments possibly for a spall liner. I mean, it's compelling. So especially with the super heavy spall liner with as much armor as this tank has, and as big as it is, and slow as it is, it's gonna be an artillery magnet. It's just going to be. So you might make a case to swap out something for a spall liner. Uh, but yeah, guys, these are heavily armored, monstrously big behemoths of tanks. These tanks, when you see these in the live server, don't just shoot at them thinking, oh, a Japanese tank must have little armor. No. These things, unless you know where to aim at, obviously the cupolar, or if you know your armor values and your gun penetration values by off the top of your head, like, be weary about shooting at these tanks, guys, because they're just slow, lumbering behemoths, and they will bounce a lot if you don't aim at the proper spots. Um, so yeah, that's the overview of the newly introduced Japanese heavy tank tree. Um, I think, overall, I think the sweet spot for this tech tree, like a lot of the heavy tank trees, is going to be the tier 9 tank. Based off the very limited amount of games I played off them, keep that in mind. With the tier 8 and tier 10 being kind of meh tanks in my opinion, and the rest fulfilling like their own niche roles. So I mean like the OI is just a novelty tank thanks to its derp gun. Uh, but yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you want to see more gameplay videos, if you want to see the updated info on these tanks later, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it. Leave some criticism, because I'm fairly new to the YouTube scene. Um, you know, as far as constructive criticism goes, anything is good. So go ahead and yeah, go play some World of Tanks. Get that test server up if you want to play these tanks. I'll see you guys in the next video.